In 2008, in a campaign for hope and change, Barack Obama promised he would bankrupt coal plant owners and force energy prices to skyrocket across the U.S. as part of his plan to combat global warming. And did Barack Obama keep his campaign promise? Sadly, he did. The facts speak for themselves. Get this. A new EPA rule on power plant emissions promises to slash as much as 40% of the nation's power supply, and possibly even doubling Americans' energy bills. Obama told the San Francisco Chronicle editorial board in January 2008, "So if somebody wants to build a coal-powered plant, they can. It's just that it will bankrupt them, because they're going to be charged a huge sum for all that greenhouse gas that's being emitted." Oh, and it gets worse. Obama promised, "Under my plan of a cap-and-trade system, electricity rates would necessarily skyrocket, even regardless of what I say about whether coal is good or bad." Ouch. But it gets even more painful. And we quote word for word from Obama, who told the San Francisco Chronicle, "Because I'm capping greenhouse gases, coal power plants, natural gas, you name it, whatever the plants were, whatever the industry was, they would have to retrofit their operations. That will cost money. They will pass that money on to consumers." He seemed to have great glee in knowing the power companies would sock it to the consumers, the voters, his constituency. Now this is strange, if not bizarre. Here we have a presidential candidate admitting to wanting to shaft consumers through his policies and sheer force of government, compelling power companies to carry out Obama's dirty deeds. And he did it in broad daylight. Could you imagine if a conservative candidate were to confess he was going to punish voters with energy policies that could cause their electric bills to double? Wow, with Obama, if it weren't for his double standard, there might be no standards at all. And speaking of standards, here they are. Obama's Environmental Protection Agency is enforcing Obama's edicts. This non-elected big government Gestapo has new rules on power plants requiring a massive reduction in so-called greenhouse gas emissions, and threatens to block any new coal-fired energy facilities because they cannot hope to meet the new standards without using unproven and cost-prohibitive technology. And is Obama granting billions of dollars in taxpayer money to power companies to offset these draconian costs? Of course not. But when it comes to repaying his campaign contributors, he makes sure to steer plenty of money their way. Remember the solar energy company Solyndra? Obama gave them over $500 million in loan guarantees, supposedly to create green jobs. But almost immediately after receiving the cashola, Solyndra went bankrupt. Oh, and as for those jobs, in Obama speak, maybe it meant they could keep their jobs the same way his so-called Affordable Care Act would allow Americans to keep their old health insurance policies. But that's a little hard to do if his policies put insurance companies out of business, along with the coal companies. Hey, we may have stumbled upon Obama's endgame after all. Perhaps he simply wants the United States to go out of business. This is the end of this video, but it doesn't have to be the end of our nation. Will you please forward a copy of this video to your congressman, to your friends, and anyone you know who you might think wants to help to make a difference? Thank you.